Hello, and welcome to the second TCS broadcast of the year. My name is Ethan.
And mine is Kevin.
Today, we're talking about COVID. Firstly, the Pfizer COVID vaccine has now been approved for children aged 5 to 11. Another new thing is that the US is easing travel restrictions for people who are vaccinated against COVID. I think it's good that we're easing travel restrictions for people who are vaccinated because it has already been proven that states with more vaccinated people have less deaths. On the bright side of news, COVID is expected to calm down this winter. COVID is thankfully declining, but it's still a huge problem in our country and the world.
Unfortunately, the U.S. hit the COVID death toll of 675,000 recently. This is higher than a similar pandemic, the 1918 Spanish flu. This just shows that we shouldn't let up our precautions or get comfortable around those that aren't as susceptible to the disease. While this number is high, because the U.S. has triple the population it did in 1918, this is a smaller proportion of the population than back then. There also wasn't a vaccine back then, so we ask everyone, encourage those around you to get vaccinated, as there are still eligible people who have yet to get a vaccine. Compared to the 1918 pandemic, there's also much more misinformation. My advice is if you hear a piece of info that seems outlandish or too good to be true, it's likely because it is. Use professional sources to double check anything suspicious you read or see, and a few things remain consistent. For example, younger people can get hit by COVID just as hard as older people, so even if you're in your teens, 20s, or 30s, be careful, if not more careful, than older people, for their sake and yours. Another similarity between the two is that in both cases, the spread is determined by the people's response. If we mask up, social distance, and don't hold large gatherings, the virus will be out of our hair before we know it. And even then, we should be cautious. After all, when San Francisco's numbers went down back in 1918, a parade was held, and it ended up being a super spreader event. I don't want that. I know Ethan doesn't want that. I don't think any of you want that. So let's not do things like that.
It's now time for what everyone was waiting for. TCS News. On Friday, we got the luxury of a conversation with Amani Hassan. The last time any of us had seen her was before COVID. She spoke to us about her career as a hip-hop artist, her childhood, and her path to success. She even gave us the opportunity to listen to some of her unreleased songs, such as Block. Her most popular song, Limelight, has over 300,000 streams. And based on the other songs she showed us, I'd say the next ones will be even bigger. Her voice is very versatile and unique. She also told us about her trip to South Africa and Mozambique, and how we could get that same chance through a place called World Learning. The conversation was really good. Thanks for coming in, and it was great seeing you again.
On Thursday, we had the first sponsor meeting of the year. First off, everyone introduced themselves and their sponsors, giving the new students a chance to meet the rest of the TCS community. After that, the new students, as well as some of the returning ones, talked about how they felt about the school year so far and how it would go in the future. There was a mixture of nervousness, curiosity, and overall excitement among the responses. Lastly, Mr. Tom talked about volunteer hours, lunches, and donations. Because TCS is a private school and doesn't receive funding from the government, these things help the school do its job and make sure the students are well educated and well fed in a clean, safe, and organized environment. If you're interested in any of this, please contact either Mr. Tom or Donald.
On Thursday, we also celebrated Brianna's birthday with cupcakes. She's been doing really well so far at the school for her first year. We hope you had a really good day.
Happy birthday! Last week, we also had our second creative writing seminar. This time around, Mr. Don gave a very interesting prompt. We were told that everything in the classroom had disappeared, leaving only a large white box. From that, we were told to get creative with it. And indeed, we did. Ronan and Michelle's pieces stick out in my mind even now. Ronan's was a writing where he went into the box and ended up feeling at peace, while Michelle's was a lesson to not take what you have right now for granted, because it can be taken away from you just as quickly. Which one stuck out to you, Ethan?
I really liked Joshua's piece, where he went into the box which stored all of our old stories and memories. I also liked Chase's story, where he talked about the fear of public speaking. Overall, it was a really unique topic and each person made an interesting story. On Tuesday, we had our very first American Sign Language class with Miss Pig. Last May, we had a few classes already, but this year it will be counted as a credit course. We mainly went over the deaf culture and did an experiment to see what it's like with only minor deafness. Miss Peg put on 3 masks and we put earplugs in. It was super hard to hear the difference in the words. I had 16 out of 25 of the words wrong from what I thought I heard. We later talked about minor deafness and why you should speak up and not mumble around older adults because a lot of them are hard at hearing. I'm so glad to have this class again because it's really fun and worth learning a new language.
In other news, there was a black snake on the side of the school. I tried to crash down to get a good look at it, but I guess this is another reason why I need glasses. Ethan, you were out there. What happened?
So I thought it was a pipe sticking out of the building, like the picture up there except on the ground. But when I was about to go over to it, I saw its snake tongue stick out at me and I fell out of my chair. It was trying to tease me, so I ran inside to get Mr. Tom. Nobody believed me and I was just there freaking out until they came out after like 30 seconds. It was a huge black snake with a white chin. Afterwards, Mr. Tom made us leave the door open after lunch. I almost died that day.
Did you actually fall out of your chair, or are you exaggerating again? And I think you're talking about a black rat snake. Yeah, they're non-venomous, and as the name implies, they eat rodents. You freaking out is what likely scared it off and made you look like the boy who cried wolf.
This time, I'm not exaggerating. I definitely fell out of my chair. But non-venomous doesn't mean it can't try to kill me.
And to end the broadcast, we'd like to thank everyone for the lunches this week. Thank you, Miss Nickmeyer, for the ravioli, salad, and Italian bread on Wednesday.
Thank you, Miss Mary Louise, for the Italian cold cuts on Thursday.
Thank you, Miss Sandy, for the Sloppy Joes and fancy cupcakes on Friday.
Thank you, Miss Carol, for the chicken rice casserole, coleslaw, and cornbread on Monday.
Thank you, Miss Peg, for the chili, cornbread, crackers, and grapes on Tuesday.
All of you have been such long-term supporters of the school. You're all really important to our success and have been really great towards us. Thank you.
TCS News, signing off.